Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do, so that anytime I post a new video you'll be the first to get notified. Okay, so this is just the way it is, because we speak the truth to reality. Welcome to today's session. As I did a previous video on the fundamentals of nation building, and I highlighted some key points on what is needed if a nation wants to develop and grow, and I promise to come with subsequent videos on how these things can be done. So, still focusing on Africa and our homeland Ghana, I'm bringing you the process through which you can acquire the wealth to lay down the foundation for nation building. So, as I said earlier on, we have to be able to use our own resources, utilize our resources, and process it. So, delving into today's session, we want to know the process in which we can even acquire the resource and what importance it will be of it to us. Because you can have the resource, if you don't know the importance of the resource, then you cannot use it for the benefits of the people and the nation. And so we will go through a few points, and I hope as you're following, you are going to get the understanding of everything. Okay, so there's something we call feasibility studies. Okay, so you can have a look on the screen. Okay, so in the feasibility, it's having various branches around it, and it's about 8 different sub units. Now, before you can gain wealth, or before you can have value, or before you can be rich, you have to go through a series of processes. Before you find a resource or a mineral, you have to go through these processes to get the facts of the resource you are going for, the purpose, the benefit it will bring to you, and then the end result of these resources. Okay, and so when you look at this chart, you can see what you call the founding team. Right? The founding team will simply mean those who are in charge, or those the resource belongs to. So in this instance, if you are talking about Africa, then you can say, okay, this resource belongs to Africa. Or if you are talking about a country, particularly Ghana, you can say this mineral resource belongs to what? Ghana. So that's the founding team. Alright. And then you also have the product and service. So the product and service comes in, but at the latter stage, when we're able to process these resources. The latter stage of the resource will be where you can get the product and service. And then, so let me go clockwise. Okay, so I'm going to the anti-clockwise direction. Let me go clockwise so that I can see it properly. So for the founding team, you go to competition. So competition is this mineral or this resource. Is it in demand? Is it desired by others? Is it competing on the job market? Is it competing on the stocks market? Is it competing on the commodities market? All right. If you're able to get a very competing figure or a factor for that resource, then it's a good venture to invest in. So when you take our gold, is the gold on demand? Is a resource on demand both locally and externally? When you take oil, is the oil in demand locally and externally? See, so if you're able to create that demand, then that's a competition. Then it's a green light to move ahead. Then we go to the startup needs. The startup needs. So you make your plan, you sit down and deduce which resources are needed to start extracting these resources, either from the ground, in the water, from the environment, wherever in the environment. You have to look at what resources you need. Do you need machines? Do you need money? Do you need financing? Do you need human resource? Okay, yes, so that's the startup needs. Then you go to the value chain. The value chain, which means that the form in which the resource is. Do you have to turn it over to make it more valuable, or it is valuable at its initial state? If not, or even if it is, and then you are able to turn it over to some other product, is it going to be valuable for other purposes? All right. So when you take a sample of that product to the market, can it be served or bought? If you process it to a finished product, where else can it be used? Okay, so that's the value chain. Then you go to the industry. So with the industry, it means you are now going to expand the scale. You're going to expand the scale of that resource extraction, which means you are going to look at the rate at which you produce. You're going to look at the dimensions of the products and the subunits, or the petty things you can get from that same product. How you are going to maximize its production and its use. Then you go to investors. So after establishing the source of the minerals, you are going to look at those who want to push finance, or those who want to bring their machinery, or those who want to bring human resource to invest in these resources. And then you move on to the customers. So who is the target of the production? When you finish producing, whom are you going to send, or whom are you going to sell to? Alright, that is the customers. And then how are you going to present the finished product to them? So that's the product and services. Okay, and in production you have to package your things very nicely so that you can have a taste. Yes, people can have a taste for it. Okay, so this is the feasibility study, which is needed in every field of resource utilization. Okay, this thing is very important because it will help you to know the end from the beginning. Because when you jump in without planning, when you jump in, then you're going to get stuck. You might run into a loss, you might get stuck somewhere. So it's very important to get all these factors considered before you begin. Okay. Now, let's look at a few things. So, for example, we want our resources to be utilized. We want it to bring us money. And how are we going to do that? First of all, we need some foundations, some basic things, or some structures that we put in place to run this. Okay, so it's like a structure and it should be a system. So when you take, for example, this is one example of an industry. Some will call it a plant. You can call it a plant. You can call it a factory. You can call it an industry. Okay. Now, this structure involves an input and an output. It means certain products, which is a raw material, goes into it and it goes through a series of processes and it comes out as what? A product or a finished good. So this factory that I have laid down here as an example is a plastic plant. It's used to process plastics. Alright. So the plastic spoons, the plastic bowls, the plastic chairs, all the plastic products that we use go through this system. Alright. So we're able to turn the plastic around from a starting point to a finishing point. So you call it a plant or a processing plant. So you need this basic infrastructure to be able to turn mineral resources around. So when the plastic is being produced, then you can make all sort of products in the basic production, feed all the needs of the country and everything that needs plastic to process. You can feed those portions with these plastic products. Okay, so you look at the needs of the country from the north to the south, the east and west of the country, wherever plastic is needed. Okay, then your plants for the plastic production will do that work and then process or supply those demands of plastic. Now, if the plants are not enough, then you work on expanding or expansion of production, right? Good. So this is one example, and then you can also look at, for instance, we have an automobile production company. So this is a factory that also does automobiles. They produce cars. Okay, so look at the worth of the car. They use steels. So if you have a steel factory, before this car production can be done, it means that we have to process steel. So when you find steel in your soil, or when you find steel or on your land, you have to get a steel industry that will produce the steels in its masses. Okay, then a further chain of production can be done using the automobile, because when there are no steels, you can't make the cars. You can't do it because it's made up of steel. You see, so the resources are going to facilitate our production. We can't make any production without the resources, and that's why industrialization is very important in nation building. So, for instance, when these cars are being produced, when the steel parts of the cars are being used, we have other parts that needs to be used, like the plastic parts, like the rubber, like how they call it, the glass, the glass windows, all from the resources that we get. Okay, and then we can also have an example of the factory, another example of the industries. Now, you see, putting all these things up is creating avenues for other problems that we have not come to realize. For example, employment crisis. Okay, employment crisis. Now, as you are setting up the basic infrastructures to process your resources and also to help you acquire wealth, you are also taking care of certain problems that are in the country. So this time, you're not going out to borrow or to buy, to give your money out to people. You are making it in your own country. At the same time, you are giving work and then jobs and then skills to your fellow citizens in the country. Okay, so it is an all-time solution method that every country that has been able to develop have adapted. Just name one country that have developed without industrializing its country. None. Because it is a basic. So, for example, in one factory, as we are seeing, in one factory, you can get employment for up to 3 times the employment you get in an average, economy. You can get up to 3 times in the factory because you are using plants, and the plants are able to run 24/7. But human beings, on the average, are able to work 8 hours a day. So it means that you can make a 3-shift program whereby one factory can employ up to 3 times the people it can employ per working hours. That is per 8 hours. So if a factory has the ability to employ 10,000 people in one work section, it means that overall the factory can employ about 30,000 people, just because it will be able to run itself in 3 work shifts, that's 24 hours, and it's going to run. It's going to first of all boost production. It's going to secondly give more employment. See? Okay, so let's go to the next one. How do I move this? Okay. Then from the production stage, now you've been able to produce everything. You've been able to extract your I want to use maybe bauxite, for example, bauxite. You've been able to extract, you've been able to process, and then you gotten the finished good of the product. So you have to what? Distribute. You have to distribute to wherever the demand is. And first of all, because you are following a chain, it means you are supposed to supply or feed wherever it is needed to begin another production. So the bauxite have been mined, packaged. Now you want to get aluminium from bauxite, so you have to get an aluminium processing plant. So you have to package the bauxite ready to be shipped to the production sector. Do you get it? So packaging is also going to create an employment for other people who will do packaging. And then when it's being packaged and it's being distributed to the other areas, then a different kind of processing can begin. So always let's consider that we are using a chain to accomplish all our goals, right? So we are integrating the resource to the production, to the distribution, and to the usage of the citizens. So let me widen this a bit. See? All right. So you take records of all the things you have produced, what you are shipping outside the country, and what you are shipping to other sectors of the country for different purposes. You take note of all that, and you will be able to, or you should be able to detect whether this quantity of production can cater for this for the next process. You have to be able to use all that, and that's integration. Okay. And then you need what you call transport systems. Systems. Now, we've been saying that we've not gotten to it's like we don't even say we've not gotten to certain level, but we don't want to think that we can do certain things, or we don't want to get to certain level because we are too afraid to get there. So we have transport systems that are going to transport your goods. You've been able to process your cocoa. You've been able to process your gold. You've been able to process your gari. You've been able to process your tomatoes. You've been able to process your rice. You've been able to process your yam. Now we want to move it from one place to another. What is the best transport system you can get? Now look at this. In Ghana and Africa, our major means of transportation is by what? By road. And our roads are also not in good conditions. How do you move these things that you have produced in masses around if you don't get a better transport system? So every country that maximizes its production power also maximizes its transportation power. Now let's look at the examples of the transport systems that can be used. We have by road. And common examples of how goods are transported by road is through trailers. or cargo trucks. Okay, so this cargo truck does a good job by carrying most of the products or equipment or whatever logistics to wherever it is needed in the country. Okay, so if you want to do a shipping or you want to ship it from a country to a different country, this cargo trailers can transport them from the factory to the shipyard or the harbors, where it can also be processed into the ship for shipments. Okay, and to be able to make good use of this cargo transport system, it means you need what? Good roads. Your road have to be in good condition. You have to expand the roads. So you have to create a very good road network. You have to create dual carriages. You have to create hexa carriages. In fact, to reduce the rate of accident and to create specific paths for specific vehicles, so that a taxi and a trailer will not be interchanging each other, so that a bicycle and a trailer will not be using the same road, so that a caravan or a private car will not be passing or trying to overtake a tanker. So we are going to get rid of your accidents. These small accidents that are happening on the road every day is because we don't have a proper laid out road system. And if you are going to do production, it means you have to cut out this one-way roads. You have to cut out this head-on roads, and you have to make a very good system of roads to be able to send our products safely from one place to the other. Okay, and now the other means of safe transportation and then faster transportations, such as railways. So here's an example of railway. Okay, so this is a beautiful one here. You can have cargo railways that will carry these products from where it's being produced to where it is needed, whether in the finished form or in a raw form, to be continued in the chain elsewhere. Now, trains are reportedly known for its less involvement in accidents. Okay, so it's a very good transport system that can be used to transport our goods from one point of the country to the other. Alright, so that is the railway system too, and it's very, 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 very useful. Okay, then we go to planes. So you can also use planes as a means of transport to transport the finished products from one place to another. You can transport it internationally, or you can transport it locally from one point of the country to the other, or you can export your products through the cargo planes. Right, so here's an example, very beautiful one, and then it's also a very safe way to transport and a very faster way to transport. Exactly. So everything is possible if you have the plans. So if you have the plans, everything is possible to do. And now we have the next means of transportation, that is through water. Okay, waterborne. So we have cargo ships that transport containers. So you can have your mass production, package them into containers, and then the ship takes them to different countries. Okay, now this is the only way your country can stand out amongst other countries. This is the only way your country can make money and say, I am wealthy. Because as I explained earlier on, governance is just like management, and governance is just like running a business. Okay, you need to stand out. You need to provide the needs for both your people and others. Okay, so in order to send these products to other countries, you have to also connect your water bodies. So if you're in a country where you have industries, if you're in a country where you have industries across the country, let me use Ghana for instance. If each region in Ghana, let me minimize this if it's possible. Okay. If each region in Ghana is supposed to have a production, because there are different kind of resources across all the regions in Ghana. So if we have to set up factories across the whole country, and if each region has to produce in large quantities, it means that the ways of transportation has to be what? Diverse. So if you have to use water, and in Ghana we have a lot of water bodies. If you have to use water as a means of transport, it means that we have to also what? Interconnect our water bodies. You see, so it needs a certain kind of leadership that has the technical ability, the technical foresight to be able to link the country, across, use the railways, link the country on the railways to the port to the other sectors of the country. Then from there, if there's another railway, you move, so the goods can intercross the country, and those that are going outside the country too can also be converged at one point and then what? Shipped. In all these doings, look at the thousands of people that will get employed just by connecting your transport systems. You see, when trains are working, you have technicians on the train, you have cleaners on the train, you have maintenance crews. You see the angle. When ships are working, you have captains, you have crew members on the ship. You see, when your roads are working well, you have contractors, you have road engineers, you have road maintenance team. Just the transportation system, besides the factory production and those things. You see, so it's very important that we consider our production very well. If you are producing your plastics very well, dustbins will not be a problem. You won't go to town and suffer to get just a dustbin to drop a refuse. Sometimes you go to town, you drink something from a sachet, and you are trying to keep the city clean by looking for a dustbin. But My friends, you roam the whole town and you won't see a dustbin. And sometimes if you're not being disciplined enough, you find yourself dropping the rubbish on the floor. So if your factories are able to produce enough dustbins, nothing will tell you to drop the rubbish in the bin, because every 2 meters you move there's a bin. So your conscience will even drive you that no, I have to put the rubber in the bin. You see, so it's a new way of turning around the mindset of the people. It's a new way of entering into a new life, a new way of discovering how to do new things, a new way of invention, a new way of technology. And these things are going to change the way our school systems are built. These things are going to change the way we educate our children. These things are going to change the way we train our artisans, because the job is right there. We are training them on the job. Unlike, there's nothing in the system now. They go to school, learn about other people's projects, and then they finish school, and then there's nothing to be done. But when these things are going on, then educational systems know what to train the people or the children on. You see, so the foundation will determine whether everything in the country is going to run smoothly or not. You can't be in a country where your security systems, your army, your police systems, and all the gears they are wearing are being bought from different countries. All their ammunitions, all their weapons, all their attacks are being sewn. They are being produced by different countries. So what if you have a conflict in that country? How are you going to have your ammunitions? How are you going to get supplied? How are you going to battle? Okay, so let's not underrate ourselves. Let's not underrate ourselves. There's always a starting point. If your forefathers didn't start it, you have the courage to start it now. And you have the courage to support those who want to start it now. At least that's the best you can do, if not the least. People will come promising free things, but free things are really not free. They are really not free. Anything free is not free, because they are compensating that freeness with something else, which you are not aware. Maybe they've not told you what they are using to replace that free. But if your country is able to produce enough to get a surplus to export, then there is going to be a profit. And you can say that because of the profit, you can get something free. You can leverage on that to get or subsidize certain costs. Example, the cost of education, the cost of healthcare can be subsidized because you have gotten a profit. So the countries that are using, or the countries that are supporting their kids, supporting or let's say whereby their citizens are not paying bills or paying the school fees for their children in terms of free education, it's not because they are just doing it freely. No, it's because they are getting profit from their resources or from the things they are doing in the country, and they are using parts of those profits to what? To support their citizens. Okay, so please don't be content with poverty and then enjoy free things. It's the duty of the government to make you a middle income earner. The government should be able to give you the necessary resource that you need to be able to buy your own things that you want. If you want to buy a car, the government should be able to pay you enough for you to decide whether you want a car or not. It shouldn't be in the poverty and then the government will come and promise you that I'll get you a car when I come. See, using the state of the people's or using the state of the people to control their mind. We should be in a system whereby promises are not what we should rely on, because promises don't come by chance. You have to plan and work. So when you're looking for governance or people that should govern the country, look for people that have these foundations at heart. These foundations are what is going to make you leave that poverty. This foundation is what is going to make your future generation come and succeed. If you think about money now, the small coins that someone will give you for their vote, you are going to trade your generation for them. Your generation is going to come and suffer because of your wrong choice that you made, just because you want to free your belly. So please, I'm going to end it here, and I'll bring you a detailed explanation on the mindset, which I have already begun. Okay, so the mindset that people must have in order to get the right government, in order to move the country in the right direction. Because the government can put all these things in place, but when the people's mindsets are still not abreast with the system, there are still going to be challenges. So I'll come back with the mindset. So for now, I'll say peace and bye bye.